Hi, welcome to this week's Astrology webcast. I'm Jody Shirami, and I'm excited to dive into the cosmic events shaping our week ahead. Whether you're seeking guidance or just curious about what the stars have got going, I've got insightful updates just for you. This week we'll explore how the lunar phases can influence your emotions, and I'll share some tips on how to harness the energy of the planets for personal growth. So grab a cozy spot and let's connect with the universe together. Okay? And Happy New Year to everyone. I'm happy you came back. If not, sorry to see you go. I hope everything is going well for you. So let's start this week off with the fact that we are witnessing some exciting developments across the globe, from innovative technology to breakthroughs in the healthcare. The pace of change is truly inspiring. Stay tuned as I dive deeper into these stories that are not only shaping our future, but also making a positive impact on our communities. Don't forget to like, share, and comment below with your thoughts. I really appreciate it. I love to hear from you, see how your new year went. Any issues that you're thinking about this year, please comment. Please contact me. I love to share the knowledge that I've collected over the years and my intuitive thoughts with you. So ready? Let's go. There are some big transits happening this week, starting with tomorrow. As the nodes of fate, which are on the moon, retrogrades back into Pisces and Virgo for the next 18 months. The next big thing is that Mars retrograde has shifted back into Cancer on January 6th until February 23rd. And then on January 13th, the retrograded Mars will meet up with the Cancer full moon, which will be a very emotional, introspective time. The other big news is that on January 2nd, Venus entered Pisces and will then be there until February 4th, bringing Venus to her exaltation in Pisces, where she has a lot of power to influence us towards a gentler, kinder world as the North Node shifts back at 29 degrees, the anorectic degree of Pisces. And we'll run into Neptune, who is at that 29th anorectic degree of Pisces also. So let's get this week started, because on January 15th, Mars retrograde in Cancer will be opposite the Sun in Capricorn and Pluto in Aquarius at 26 degrees. So here we go. Happy New Year 2025. Let's discuss what's happening tomorrow on Saturday, the 11th of January, as the north and south node of the moon shifts back into Pisces and Virgo. I've talked about this before. This is the axis, AXIS, of service and spirituality for the next 18 months for the collective. As Venus is here in Pisces, it will be also met with the North Node as it shifts out into February, leading us into February. The idea of facts, stats, and the need to learn is released in the next 18 months as the eclipses will bring up this for everyone. We are asked to lean into the Pisces realm of dissolving, finding the truth of what is behind the veil. This is usually a Scorpion thing, another water sign's job, and Neptune can sometimes blur the line between fact and fiction. But ultimately, Neptune is here to reveal the truth. If you can look deeply into your soul of what is real and not. We tend to live in a delusional world during this Pisces age, where material things matter more than they should innately. We are spiritual creatures that really live on love, which again is invisible. And the moon is moving around constantly, which means that the collective, our emotions, are constantly ebbing and flowing, just like the moon and the tides. And really that can make us confused about our feelings every day since the moon moves around quickly. So this is kind of the illusionary symptoms of emotions dealing with the moon. I, for one, have the moon in Pisces, and it is the most powerful moon in terms of receiving the information from Neptune. Pisces and Cancer are friends. Same with Scorpio. I have found that over the years, I don't listen to my intuition because my moon's in Pisces. I would become delusional and fall into the facade of the smoking mirrors. This is the world of the Pisces age that we've lived through. We are releasing the Pisces age. But before we can release that and head into the Aquarius age, where the North and South Node, well, the North Node will be moving into in 18 months from now. So we have 18 months to understand ourselves and have compassion for ourselves, and therefore able to share with others, because spirituality is about a connection that we all have together on the soul level, unconscious level of our evolutionary DNA. If we cannot look deeply within our soul's purpose here on earth and what makes us happy, which is what Pisces wants you to do spiritually, mentally, physically, all these things, we cannot move ahead into the age of the digital renaissance. We need to understand now that education is being manipulated, that the things that you were taught, the books you read, aren't always the truth. Just because you read a history book in, let's say, the southern part of America, talking about slavery being something that was acceptable and great, if you go back to that, it doesn't mean that it's true that other people believe it. And as you can see now, that it's a wrong thing on a spiritual level of owning another living human being, that you can tell what to do, like animals being bred to serve humans' needs for elitism. This is when these things must be released, because these all occurred in the Capricorn mode, which Saturn rules over, of thinking that working hard, following the rules of the institution that have been created by man, and reaching material wealth. This is not what our purpose on earth is. If our purpose on earth is to rape Mother Earth, Gaia, in order to gain the material wealth and power to dictate to others, then you're lost in confusion. The vibes from the planet slowly but surely, like it has over the history of living here on Earth as humans, you will be brought back to reality quite quickly, as it is predicted in 2026. There will be some sort of war that America will be involved in. And so how do we handle this new shift of eclipses coming up? We have to maintain a sense of sovereignty, which is what Mars and Leo was bringing to our attention before it went retrograde and slowly moved back to the first degree of Leo and opposed Pluto and Aquarius that occurred on January 3rd. These are not simple ideas that you can just push away and say, oh, it doesn't matter. But if you choose to go that route, I will pray for you. As Cancer will be retrograde with Mars here until 23rd of February, we will not be very logical in our actions, because Mars is very uncomfortable in Cancer It can get very moody because it can't use its energy the way it wants. Cancer is not about action. Cancer is about passive aggressiveness. Cancer is about the nurturing mother, your first connection to love and how it shapes you as you grow. And again, we focused on the inner child for the last 10 years, and now we're being asked to see if we actually healed our inner child. And that's what Mars retrograding through Cancer will let us see for ourselves and collectively how much maturity we've all evolved into. And the only way to see is Mars testing us during this period of time before it again starts to shift forward on February 23rd, where it stations direct at 73 degrees of Cancer, where we begin to move forward and head back into Leo. So all these things we're doing now, again, we'll be going over the same spot when Mars started to move forward until it gets to 6 degrees of Leo, where it began its backward track. Mars does not like retrograde periods. It does not like having to hold its energy and put it into a box to be used later. Mars does not like any of that. Mars is about going forward, using our energy and outwardly ways, not to hold it inside and be passive aggressive. And we know what passive aggressiveness is. I know what it is because I deal with it a lot out in the world because I am a Leo sun. I am a masculine outward energy as a female, and I get opposition from many who do not use their energy outwardly but hold it in. And when that opposition comes to me, I realize this person has some feeling against me because I go out and pursue what I want, what I need, I manifest what I want. But for the past 4 or 6 years, I haven't been able to use this energy in the way that I want. And I had to have my molar pulled out on January 6th. And that was the day that Mars retrograde moved back into Cancer. So I understand that on that day was an Aries moon, which is compatible with a sun in Leo. I went forward and did what I knew I had to do, or else it was going to get worse. And it's been bothering me since last year, in April, when I realized something was going on wrong with my tooth, and I have been chewing on this side of my face since then, and I realized this is the time for me to make that change and take it out. And it will be going over, and I will be going over those degrees again since Mars starts to, when Mars starts to move forward. And these are the things that physically you can't ignore, but spiritually you can't ignore either. A bunch of things. Especially while Mars is here in Cancer. Cancer is a cardinal water sign. It is the mother. It is the nurturing. It's a house of the moon where the moon loves being, and the moon is exalted in Taurus, where you can use your emotions to help you find practical, life-sustaining needs. So Taurus is food, and Cancer is love of food, which they represent. They represent digestion. So these are the things I will be thinking about here as Mars is retrograde in Cancer. What is it that we need to be really happy, to survive? We definitely need love. We could not have gotten out of our childhood without someone loving us. And even then, if your mom was bad to you and your father left scars that can last forever, which I have because I don't even know who my father is. And my mother was not happy with that situation. So I've been dealing with these things. That's why I went into astrology, which I've spoken of before if you've been following me. And I know what's inside that I'm holding on to and why I can't move forward. So that's why astrology really helped me. Because when I was younger, I got in a car accident, and that's what took me to figure out a bunch of things when I started seeing death, and I started looking deeply into astrology to explain why I'm the way I am. And at 56 years old, I'm still trying, because life is a marathon, and that is no joke. It is a marathon, and in choosing to have children, I had healed myself to the point of where I never want to get married or have kids. After I went through everything with my mother, who had multiple husbands, multiple divorces, I've got a half brother, a half sister, and I have a stepfather, and I have step families, and none of them could fulfill my need, and they weren't accessible to me because, again, after the divorce, they disappear, and that's the thing about these divorces that are bad. So it's going to hit pretty hard during this time until June. These are going to really come down to how you love and really what makes you wonder and have childlike enthusiasm. I had a collapse the other day emotionally after I had my tooth taken out because I was feeling very vulnerable. And, when you feel vulnerable, you want your mom. And extracting a tooth isn't a huge surgery, but it just makes you feel vulnerable, So, my God, if this tooth had decayed for so long, has it affected other things? What is it doing to my blood? I could have lost my jaw. So, things like that, when they happen to you, it's sad, but sometimes it takes things like that for you to wake up and shape up and stop all this bullshit, So, I can take care of myself, but again, you're going to need someone to help you unless you're out of touch with who you are. You think you can do everything by yourself, but you can't. So I was very happy to have my family here with me taking care of me. And everything's going to be fine, as long as you take your time. And so again, with Venus moving into Pisces, allowing your time to really learn to love yourself and believe in the unseen, believe that there are forces working on the solar flares that are all the stuff that's happening in the sky lately. It's downloading. You can see the aurora borealis. These are things that are raw and incoming. Again, we've spoken about these. And the solar flares are really, really active. And a lot of it, as you can see with the weather, as soon as Pluto shifted to the Aquarius, the wind has picked up tremendously, and these can be destructive. And Mother Nature will always win. Gaia. She is moderate. She is forgiving. But people have gotten completely greedy. Even electric cars will cause us problems where you have to rape the earth to get enough minerals to make these batteries, which will blow up if you do not do it correctly. So here's the choice we have coming up, especially this year's the beginning of it. Do we need to use coal and fossil fuels that are warming our earth? And we can see that. The earth is warming, the waters are warm, the hurricanes, everything, the snow coming, the ice, the destruction. And Mother Nature will win in time. She always wins. You can't stop Mother Nature. You can go up in the air and make rain. You can think you can do all these things, but in the end, she has proven that she will balance everything back out. It may take a long, long time, but the earth, the continuation of raping the earth goes back to the raping of women on earth. And how we treat women. As long as we push women down, the earth will also be raped by people that are greedy, and women included in that, men and women that are greedy. So we have some really deep thoughts that we must address, especially as war seems imminent for 2026, because Saturn will be conjuncting Neptune, and that is the America's birth chart return. And Neptune conjunct with Saturn in Aries, the home of Mars, as they shift into Aries this year. The time is now. There's no longer time to sit around and wait to see what happens. As you can see with the fires in LA, the longer you sit and wait, the quicker the flames burn your house down. And those Santa Ana winds is again a reflection of the movement of air, Pluto to air. So the moon, there is also a full moon on the 13th, where it's opposite the sun, Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Capricorn is stoic, doesn't really show emotions, and can lead you to being a sociopath. And that is where the Nazi disassociation from humanity occurred. And I'm not saying Capricorn are Nazis, because I have a Capricorn sun, rising and sun. It is the idea of it being opposite of Cancer is a nurturing mother, whereas Capricorn is the father who makes the rules in the house. The blending of these two signs should really give you a loving, well planned out life. But if we lean into one side or the other too much, you will become passive, aggressive, and disassociative, and unfeeling. How else could people murder millions of others without feeling anything? So now would be the antithesis of this full moon. It really comes down to Venus entering Pisces on the 2nd of January and will be here until February 4th, because it will be in Pisces. Venus is reprogramming the way we love ourselves, the way we can be delusional about love. Like I spoke about earlier, Venus is exalted in Neptune, so her power here would be very, very strong. And we can try to resist that power of love and kindness, which will be occurring. Obviously, it will cause a lot of people from being not nice if you reject this. And Venus right now is quite close to the Earth. If you look out at night, you'll see Jupiter. And NASA came out, I think yesterday or the other day, about how all the planets, all 6 planets, will be aligned out in the sky, and you can see it. So keep an eye out for that, especially if you have a telescope. It's so close that we can see that the planets themselves are showing that they exist. They want to show us astrologers are talking about something genuine, and that the astronomers who don't believe in astrology, it goes back to releasing the Virgo in the South Node, where information, proof, all these things we used to believe were true. We realized that people were really editing things for themselves so that they can lie to you about things. And all these changes are going to change us at a soul level in our DNA, which we've talked about before, becoming, as human evolution evolves from Neanderthal to the Homo sapiens to light beings. So, and on January 15th, with the Mars opposition of the Sun and Pluto at 26 degrees, that it moves around back there, we are being tested about our divine will, our hero's journey, and really our ego has to align with our soul's purpose, which is service to the world. The next 18 months is going to help us understand that. With retrograde Mars opposing Capricorn Sun again, this goes back to the whole full moon message of loving yourself. And if you don't get the love you needed, you have to become your own parent. You have to really work through forgiveness and understanding that all is human. They're not perfect. My mom's human. I love her. I understand her hard work she had to do. And sometimes people that seem to have it all really is just a facade, because inside they have to hide it. So I really don't hide things from my own self. I look in the mirror. If you can't look in the mirror and look at yourself, write a note to yourself, write a letter to yourself, really learn who you are, because if you can't love yourself, it's going to be hard to have a good time in life, because these coming years and years of it. So this is your time with Mars retrograde in Cancer to really dig deep and look at those things you don't want to see, open that door, open that box, unseal your pain and understand you are human like all of us. Forgive yourself. Have compassion for yourself so you can have compassion for others. And, President Carter just passed away, and he was the president that was in office when I moved back to America the second time in 1976. And he had a daughter in the White House that was my age. And he isn't rated the most popular or most effective president of all time, but he really never stopped serving. Once he was done as president, it wasn't like he just said, okay. He lived in a humble home. He came from humble beginnings, like Barack Obama, like Biden. Now that he's passed away, it's ending an era. 100 years he lived. It's end where the anger, the rage, the blaming of others for your life and not working out the way it has, blaming others for being educated and you not being educated, people being educated, snubbing other people that aren't educated, thinking they're better. There's no one better than another person, especially if you don't love yourself. You're not better than other people. So I understand it very, very deeply, and I say these things with compassion and understanding of the human condition. And I give empathy, having gone through many, many of these trials myself as a Pisces moon. Again, Pisces is the very last sign of the zodiac, the 12th sign. And what does that mean, the number 1 and 2 to make 12? It means without another, you will not be happy. You have to be able to work with others and understand people on a level that is loving, not lashing out, not blaming other people. It's very, very childish. They keep saying this. It's the other person's fault, that the fire broke out in LA. There's a tornado. There's this person's fault. There's a tornado. There's a hurricane. It's like, what's it all our fault? Isn't it all our fault for using fossil fuel and still continue to do it today, knowing what's coming? And a lot of us are, out of touch in terms of we live in a country where we're very privileged. It might not seem that way if you've never left America and only visited a country, and you really don't understand, how much privilege America has. We are the richest nation, but yet we have things that are like a third world nation, with homelessness, lack of health care for all people. And that doesn't make sense, right? That's where the disconnect comes in with the materialistic and spiritual. So we have to shift into these nodes tomorrow and to understand Virgo is about health. It's about information. It's about communication. It's about our bodies. It's health. It's rules over our health. So a lot of times you notice that your health will be affected by stress. Your health will be affected by forest fires and all the smoke in the air. You notice when the weather changes, you're affected with your breathing, with your body getting cold, with your body getting hot. And that's all by nature. And you can't control nature. And she will always win. I will repeat, nature, Mother Earth, Gaia will always win, always win. As we move into Aquarius, the sign of humanity, we're going to have to really look at what we're inventing and what the robots are going to do for us. And, production will increase with robots. There's already robots being used to have surgery, being a helper to you, all these things. And that is what I see robots used for, is being able to do things that would harm us, but would not harm a robot. One of the movies coming out this year is Avatar, the third Avatar, and it is about the people of the water. And James Cameron, I think, is very spiritual. All the ideas of the movies have come from him through meditation and dreams, and then he manifested what he saw in his dreams, like the Terminator. He dreamt of that when he was laying on a beach. And that's a movie about AI come to kill the next leader of the free world, come back in time. And it's really prophetic in terms of how the Westworld also, that was on HBO, talks about AI and how it becomes a Disney World for adults. And you can see it doesn't work because, again, humans are denying who they are by being passive aggressive, which is what Mars and Cancer is going to illuminate for us. And we can't turn away. We must look. We must learn. And I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what I tell myself what to do. I'm sharing what I feel personally with you. So I hope you understand that if you don't agree with me, I understand. But I hope that you will really think about what I'm saying, trying to tell you, so that you can figure out what to do for yourself. Only you can tell yourself what to do and therefore not blame others, by being passive aggressive, by ignoring things that you know is good for you. So I think I've covered what I wanted to talk about, which is the full moon in Cancer coming up, and Venus moving into Neptune was the other thing that happened since I've been gone. And Cancer retrograde moving back, Mars retrograde moving to Cancer. And the fact that Cancer and Leo is where Mars is occupying most of his life right now for 6 to 8 months, it's really letting you understand that the part of us that matters the most is the moon supporting our emotions through our mother, which is the moon, is the mom, and then also supporting us with our father in terms of maybe not getting enough attention, not getting enough emotional love from your father, and maybe your mother ignored you, didn't give you enough love. As we know, that's what causes all serial killers, is the moon not nurturing the baby, or the dad abusing the baby, or abusing the mom. These things cause so much pain that people learn to live with that pain. And then eventually they just snap because they can't handle it anymore. So until we look at ourselves deeply as a species and understand how privileged we really are to be alive in America, especially the privilege to be alive on this earth, we will never ever be able to live in peace without each other as a species, because the power and the greed will continue if we do not release the Capricorn stigma of materialism, making you a better person, education making you a better person, being judgmental towards others, being passive aggressive towards others, because you're in pain. So we're dealing with tremendous amount of pressure this year. And as Neptune and Saturn shift into Aries in March and June, we will be trying to heal these wounds. And we may not be able to because it's such a powerful full alignment of Neptune and Saturn when they meet up in Aries. Many, many wars have started with this configuration that's occurring. Uranus is going to Gemini, Jupiter going to Cancer. These are very, very powerful transits that's happening that we've got to really never experienced before. Our inner chemicals are being told and pulled. Our brain is being overloaded with information. Our soul is being asked to look at itself and why it's here on earth and what its purpose here is. And if it's not reaching its purpose, this is where all of the anger and bitterness and passive aggressiveness comes out. So my advice as these nodal shifts occur tomorrow, really lean into the North Node in Pisces and begin to imagine and dream, not delusionally, but really lean into being spiritual beings that can be grateful for having a life that is full of what we make it. Understand that Neptune will reveal the truth behind. Whoa, look at that big bird. Looks like a hawk. That everyone gets into the delusional of Neptune. I mean, there's lunatics and the dreamers, they haven't really told so many times of what I want was impractical when I was young, that, you can't do that, you can't be that, you're a girl, you can't do that, you're too little. You haven't done this, we don't have any money for you to do that, And so with my kids, when I became a mom, I realized why I was the way I was. And then I said, well, I want to do this, and I want to do it. And I went for it, and I went to Sundance Film Festival. And my youngest was 8 at the time, so I waited. And so, I wanted to be part of a very innovative, creative world where Sundance shows us movies of why we are the way we are. And their movies are all about inner growth and spirituality and how we can be kinder to people by showing us the suffering that they went through and they're sharing with us. And they want to share with us. They can help you learn how to go through these painful situations they've gone through. So sometimes, art is about sharing your pain or your happiness with others so others can see how to move forward. So, they cannot be passive aggressive. You don't want to be passive aggressive. You don't want to kill. You don't want to hate. You don't want to blame other people and judge constantly, judging everyone for what it is they want to do and what are the worst things you can hear. Sometimes everyone's always judging everyone, especially with social media now. And children have killed themselves over social media bullying, and they continue to kill other children over social media bullying. So you have to always be thinking about things, and you can see all the comments, how rude people get on Instagram, on Twitter, and the things they say, you're just like, oh my God, but they hide behind a facade. They don't show their true faces. So again, this exactly is what passive aggressive is hiding your face, saying things behind people's back, telling people what to do. Where you should be looking at your own life, getting in touch with what you are, dealing with your spirituality, dealing with your pain, fixing yourself the way you want to be, going for what you want to do. And so, if others don't understand you, this is your permission, beginning now, to not give a F about what they think. Who cares? No more is it important. I grew up in a society where it was important for girls to be certain ways in a Buddhist society in Thailand to get love, to get attention. And a lot of it's the same here in America. So I realized that over time, especially after you have children, you can see that it doesn't really matter anymore what other people think. I had my kids kind of early, so maybe I wasn't quite as mature as I would like to have been, but I didn't want to wait till I was an old lady to have a baby, because then I'd be kind of boring, because then I would know it all, maybe. So, you never know, because a lot of the older parents are a little know-it-alls, Getting rid of abusive situations and, understanding and listening to my podcast can help you. And again, if you like to call and talk to me, I'm available. My rates are $150 for a half hour, $200 for an hour. For the year, it's $3,000, where you can call me every week and talk to me if you want. So I want to say thank you for your patience with me. I'm going to release my podcast on Fridays now. I've been too busy. I can only record on Friday. So now I have to release them on Friday evenings. I will be back next week on the 17th. And then I will be heading to Sundance Film Festival on the 22nd. And like last year, I'll be recording and setting up for Sundance. We're going to be there for a while. So then next week will be here in Florida, and the next 2 will be in Utah. And then I'll be back here again in February. So I want to thank you for being here and your patience and understanding for when I take my little times off, because I am an astrology mama. I have children, and my youngest right now is in high school. He's a freshman, so these are the times when your children really need you as a teenager. So I believe I built up a lot of stability there with him. I have a little bit of a foundation where, he's going to be home with his dad and his other big brother. And it's just a great thing sometimes also, because I never go anywhere without my family usually. So I'm going without my youngest, and I think it's good for him to be him, because he's very independent as a Gemini sun and a Leo moon and a Capricorn rising. He's very independent. So, but still, of course, he needs mommy's love. And when they were all young, I gave my children tons of love. They slept with me for a while, so I feel like as a mom, I knew that I had to give them a lot of love as a baby to feel loved and nurtured. I do think when I was younger and I was living with my father at the time and his sister in Thailand when I was a baby, like 2-3 months, I got a lot of love, because I feel like pretty secure inside most of the time. So I knew that if you give my children a lot of it, that they would be okay in the long run when I can't be here with them someday. So I appreciate you again. God bless you. Happy New Year. Let's really start this new year off correctly and get our health in shape, work on our spirituality. And again, Pisces can be foggy. Retrograde Mars and Cancer can be very foggy. And Pluto and Aquarius, you've seen the wind picking up, a lot of communication going on, and it's going to become much more untenable as Uranus moves into Gemini. There's going to be a lot of sudden earth events that we've already seen with earthquakes in Tibet, fires everywhere, hurricanes everywhere. There was tsunami the other week. So all these things are because the planets are shifting. So we have a chance to really take care of ourselves and love ourselves so that we can have a brighter future for our species. And the time of being selfish, the time of being obsessed with people is beginning to phase out. The idea of a star being a movie star versus a star being the sun is going away. And I don't want to say that the way destruction's happening around the world to communities, it's because it's out of balance. Mother Nature will always put things back in balance. So that's what we're striving for, is to be balanced. And that's why we chose the house we chose. And this area where we live, knock on wood, is said to be protected by Indian burial grounds. And my neighbors that I live on the street with, none of them leave their houses when hurricanes come. And their houses this year was the first year they had any little problems occurring at all, was this year. So, you know, and you can hear people in California saying this is the first time they've ever had winds like this. They've never seen anything like it. That's going to be occurring now forever, from now on forward. You'll begin to see things that never have occurred before because we weren't alive 200 years ago when the revolution started. But we are back at that point where America's birth chart is coming into full view. And it's been predicted that July 4th by Cam White, 2026 is when there will be a war. Whether civil war or war where we have to fight another country. And the Ukraine situation is going to worsen with the EU. And North Korea is going to worsen with their relationship with South Korea because there's a lot of jealousy there. Because South Korea is doing so well in terms of in the world. And then China is going to slowly, while we're all distracted, go and try to take over Taiwan. So these are things that are predicted looking at the chart coming up for the next 20 years and beyond. So astrologers can't tell the future. They can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. They can't tell you exactly the day or the time. Can't tell you the lotto numbers, but we can tell you that things are going to happen, things are coming. And that I pray for you, and I will talk to you next week. Okay? Thank you. I appreciate you. Bye.